minds was started for the treatment of people affected by mental illness, addiction, and alcoholism. Commissioned by Saint Teresa of Calcutta to the founding members, Antara came into existence in the year 1971. Today, Antara is the one and only institution of its kind in India, which is engaged in the care, treatment, and rehabilitation of people suffering from psychiatric disorders, drug addiction, and alcoholism. For the past 50 years, Antara played an important role in eradication of hunger and poverty by extending free treatment, care, and rehabilitation to the homeless, wandering, destitute, and needy mentally ill persons, who are among the most neglected and vulnerable people, often dying on the streets due to hunger, extreme poverty, ill treatment, and negligence of the society. Antara's services are unique as they address the issues effectively by extending universal holistic healing.
Facilities and services offered by Antara. The hospital provides a wide range of services to people who need mental support. Various facilities offered include Child Guidance Clinic. They are specialized clinic that deal with children of normal and abnormal intelligence, exhibiting a range of behavior and psychological problems. It helps in managing behavioral problem, learning difficulties, emotional problems, adjustmental issues, and intellectual deficit. Inpatient facilities are unit of a hospital which has its primary purpose of diagnosis, treatment, and rehabilitation of mentally ill individuals that provides 24-hour care. Addiction Treatment Unit. It is intended to help addicted individuals to stop compulsive drug. Occupational Therapy. It aims at promoting health and well-being through occupational activities. It focuses on recovery or maintenance of daily activities and professional skills of patients with physical, mental, or cognitive disorders. Skills Training Unit. It focuses on teaching clients skill in order to cope with and manage functional impairments associated with their diagnosis. Aesthetic Therapy Unit. On every Saturdays, Andharagram comes alive with music and dance. This therapy focuses on recovering patients under the leadership of Dr. Mandar Mukherjee.
Mr. Kamal Prakash, the forward-thinking visionary president of Antara, will now deliver his speech.
Namaskar, good afternoon. At Antara 50 years ago, we started treating destitute, acute, mentally ill. But in the last 50 years, we have gradually reached to a stage of holistic approach to mental health with prevention, early intervention, treatment of acute mentally ill, their rehabilitation, education, training. However, considering the dire need to build the capacity, Antara in its golden jubilee year has initiated to set up Antara Society of Mental Health to take up educational programs to promote positive mental health. Besides taking up educational courses from prevention to rehabilitation, training and research in all formats, in person, digital and hybrid, so that here on the world starts to becoming a better place for us and our future generations. Thank you. Namaskar.
Dr. Matthew P. John, the Honorary General Secretary of Antara, will now give the State of the Organization address.
Distinguished guests, my fellow members, our very dear staff, our clients and their families, friends of Antara from all over the world. On this occasion, as we celebrate 50 years of Antara's unbroken service to all those suffering from difficulties of mental health, I stand before you with mixed feelings. In part, a sense of satisfaction of having realized the dreams of those who founded Antara to alleviate the suffering of the destitute, and in part a sense of anxiety about the very great responsibility that lies ahead of us. So above all, we need you. We need the power of your collective efforts. We need you to spread the hard work about our work, to come and visit us and participate in our efforts, and help us lead, all of us, to lead a healthier, brighter future. After all, there is no health without mental health. Thank you.
Mental health, as per World Health Organization, is a state of well-being in which an individual realizes his or her own abilities, can cope with the normal stresses of life, can work productively, and is able to make a contribution to his or her own community.
According to American Psychiatric Association, mental illness are health conditions involving changes in emotions, thinking, and behavior. Mental illness are associated with distress and problem in social, functional, and other areas of functioning. Major mental disorders are depression, schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, anxiety disorders, obsessive-compulsive disorders, among which depression and anxiety are the more common mental disorders in India. So today, we have our team of psychiatrists who will talk in detail about various psychiatric conditions. Let's listen to their session.
We have Dr. Shomo Chatterjee, Head of Department Psychiatry, letting us know about schizophrenia.
Schizophrenia is a major psychiatric illness with a prevalence of 1% globally all over. Sometimes it can be called as a neurodegenerative, or sometimes it's a neurodevelopmental disorder, where mainly the disturbance is in the thought as well as in the cognition and certain other areas in the brain. Typically, patients present with the symptoms like delusion, a fixed firm belief that somebody is going to harm him, there is a conspiracy going against him. Any type of, sometimes patient comes with a bizarre delusion, but delusions, then the hallucinations, like various types of visual hallucinations, that sometimes the patient can see something which other patients can't see, or patients can hear some voices, then voices are commanding him to do something. And with that, sometimes the patients have socio-occupational life severely hampered. Some patients may have aggressive, violent behavior. Sometimes patient comes with a wandering behavior, decreased self-care. These are some of the major symptoms which with schizophrenic patients are generally brought here by their relatives. Sometimes wandering patients are brought by the police to our hospital. And if you say what type of schizophrenic patients we most get, mainly the positive symptoms. The positive means the family members, what they can observe, like the angry, abusive, violent behavior, or the patient is very suspicious to the family members. They are suspecting everybody in the family, in the locality. This type of behavior, patient comes with decreased sleep, decreased biological activity, decreased self-care. But there are some other types of schizophrenia also, like where there sometimes a predominant cognitive symptoms have been involved, where the patient stopped working, the patient become apathetic to everything, or the negative symptoms, stopped interacting with others, just staying in a single room, closed and not interacting with anybody, decreased self-care. So it has a varied presentation. So it's not possible to diagnose schizophrenia at one chance. It's better to take a detailed history from some reliable informant, and then only you can derive to a conclusion that what actually schizophrenia is. But the important thing is, two things about schizophrenia is treatable. It's not curable like many other psychiatric conditions, but there is a myth that we can't do anything if a patient has been diagnosed with schizophrenia is wrong. With treatment, with counseling, and proper psychoeducation of the family members, schizophrenic patients improve a lot, and patients with schizophrenia improve a lot, and they can be rehabilitated properly in the society. And another most important thing is the time of onset of treatment with the onset of the illness. If this time period takes too much time, the prognosis is not good. That means early intervention is needed. For that typical thing, we always want to tell from Antara, the family members. Awareness is the most important thing about your psychiatric illness. If you have any problem among your close, near and dear ones, you think that he is not behaving in a proper way, his biological functions is disturbed, or his socio-occupational life is disturbed, you can consult. There is no shame in that, because sometimes the vivid presentations of the psychiatric illness are not always present. It takes some time to come, but the disease process has started long before. And if early intervention can be done, the result is excellent. And many a time, patients can maintain their occupational life fully and can rehabilitate with proper dignity and everything.
We have Dr. Udayan Bhomik, who will let us know about depression.
So depression is a mental health condition. It is quite commonly seen in today's population. And for the past 1 year, because of the coronavirus pandemic, depression has increased and can virtually be found in every household. However, we are not able to always diagnose it because we are often caught up with other things in life. However, depression is something which needs to be paid attention to. It is as important as a mental health condition as our physical conditions, and if not treated, it can lead to lifelong problems and disability. So we at Antara are steadfast and committed to treating depression. We have our own outpatient departments which have psychiatrists, psychologists and psychosocial workers who are committed to treat depression. In case depression becomes severe, especially when someone has suicidal thoughts, we might also need to admit them and provide them inpatient care for some duration of time. The treatment at Antara is on par with standard treatments everywhere and is very effective for treating depression. So I urge you to take this seriously. If you or your loved ones have depression, do not wait. Come to your nearest hospital, and if that hospital is Antara, we can reassure you that we will be committed to treat you as to the best of our ability.
We have Dr. Shomo Chatterjee, Head of Department Psychiatry at Antara, who will inform us about obsessive-compulsive disorders.
OCD or obsessive-compulsive disorder is another very interesting and very prevalent psychiatric illness we used to get in our OPD or day-to-day practices routinely. People know about this obsessive-compulsive disorder from various magazines, literature, even from the net. But the problem is that to diagnose OCD, it takes a long time. And what happens, OCD usually have an obsession part and the compulsion part. The obsession like repetitively doing something, it may be obsession of checking, it may be obsession of washing, or any other, some weird obsessions sometimes come. And compulsion is that under the influence of obsession, you have to do something to get a relief. Otherwise, until and unless that thing is not done, you gets tensed. It's more of an anxiety part. So the problem with the patients usually occurs that when they have an OCD disorder actually from the very early age of their life might be, but until and unless they become very much disturbed with their habit, they doesn't come to the doctor. So it nearly a decade, sometimes 10 to 15 years have been passed after which the patients come. And sometimes patients try to convince themselves that say, it's okay, I am a perfectionist by nature. That doesn't mean that I need treatment. But when the patient really gets messed with this behavior, why he has to check repeated times his laptop before closing it, or why he has to check each and everything repeatedly, and even after checking, there is a constant thought in his mind that he might have done something wrong, something might be missing, and this thought is repeatedly irritating, then he ultimately comes to us for professional help. Obsessive-compulsive disorder is a relapsing and remitting disease. The problem is, with treatment, it improves. But the more of the pharmacological treatment, psychological counseling, especially the cognitive behavior therapy, is very much helpful in these cases. And in spite of the treatment, sometimes OCD comes to very much low level when the patient feels completely cured. But after again, if there is some stress in his life, the obsessive symptoms again get increased. And especially in case of the females, we found the obsessive-compulsive disorder starts after some pregnancy, after the birth of their child. It means there is an hormonal part also in the etiology of the obsessive-compulsive disorder. People know about this disease, often they talk about it, they know they are perfectionists by nature, they know sometimes they have an obsessive compulsive personality traits. Traits is separate from the disorder. Traits means people know that I have this type of behavior pattern, but okay, I am adjusted with this. But when it becomes a disorder, that means his socio-occupational life is also hampered. They come to us for consultations. Even obsessive-compulsive disorders are also prevalent in the childhood age group also, and there are other comorbidities, and comorbid psychiatric disorders are present along with obsessive-compulsive disorder, like tic disorder, ADHD, prevalent among the school age going children. So these should be evaluated properly. I will advise the parents to take a professional help, and proper counseling with this obsessive-compulsive disorder can be treated very well, and the result is excellent. Thank you.
Addiction is an inability to stop using a substance or engaging in behavior even though it is causing psychological and physical harm. There are two types of addiction: behavioral addiction and substance addiction. Behavioral addiction refers to addiction that involves compulsive behaviors. These are persistent, repeated behaviors that you carry out even if they don't offer any real benefit. While substance addiction refers to the addiction that involves the use of substances. The addictive substances are as follows: hallucinating substances. These are cannabis, weed, ganja, bhang, siddhi. Usually these are used through smoking pipes or chillum. Depressant substances. Alcohol. There are injections like Fortwen, lorazepam, Phenergan, diazepam. There are various tablets like clonazepam, nitrozepam, and lorazepam. There are stimulants like BD, cigarette, dokta, khaini, gul, rajnigandha or gutka, e-cigarettes. There are pain relief substances like brown sugar, white sugar, afim or opium, spasmoproxivone, tramadol. These are used through edible silver foils. There are solvent substances like dendrite, thinner or remover.
Challenges faced by persons living with mental illness. Even in 21st century, people living with mental health issues faces a lot of problems. Rejection and neglect of mentally ill persons in family and society is very common. Physical, mental, and sexual abuse is another issue faced by mentally ill individuals. Unemployment is another main problem that needs more attention. Reasons for ill treatment of persons with mental illness: lack of awareness regarding the condition, financial insecurities, lack of trained mental health professionals, lack of scientific treatment facilities, low budget allocation by the government.
Mental illness is a subject which everyone likes to avoid because of the taboo attached to it. Society has stereotyped views about mental ill health. Some people believe that people with mental health problems are dangerous, when in fact they are at a higher risk of being attacked or harming themselves than hurting other people. This has led to severe consequences to approach of treatment of mental illness. Although the quality and effectiveness of mental health treatment and services have improved greatly over the past years, therapeutic revolutions in psychiatry have not yet been able to reduce stigma. Such stigma and social neglect can lead to negative mental health outcomes. It is evident that delay due to stigma can have devastating consequences. Some of them are as follows.
Shaming. People with mental health issues are detained and chained. It is a violation of human right. Chaining can aggravate the condition of the individual. This inhuman practice exists due to inadequate support and mental health services.
Exorcism. It is a process of driving out demons and evil spirits from a human body. Since there is lack of awareness in the society about mental health, persons in mental distress is always considered as having a demon in the body. It could be a painful process. Homelessness. Since persons afflicted of mental illness are not accepted in the society at large and in their family in person, this leads to wandering attitude in search of acceptance and then further to homelessness.
Abuses. In India, the abuse of patients suffering from psychiatric disorders are increasing daily, but majority of them are not reported. Abuses can be emotional, physical, and sexual. There is a need to create awareness in society in order to prevent abuses. Screening for abuse in routine psychiatric practice is at most important so that timely interventions can be given, thereby preventing it from further health consequences.
We at Antara believe that treatment of persons with mental disability should be done with a team approach comprising of psychiatrists, psychologists, psychiatric nurses, and psychiatric social workers. It is done so as to cover all the bio, psycho, social aspects of the person in mental distress. The strength of Antara is dependent on these heroes of mental health.
Persons with mental illness possess plenty of talents. Mentally ill individuals possess various talents like singing, dancing, drawing, etc. Now let's watch the program organized by a group of persons affected with mental health issues.
না আমার কেন একটা সন্দেহ হচ্ছে আমাকে ওদের খুন করা হবে। এই তো আমার খাবারে বিষ মেশানো আছে, প্রতিদিন আমার খাবারে বিষ মেশাচ্ছে, আমার গলাটা পর্যন্ত রেকর্ড হচ্ছে। হ্যাঁ, খাটের তলায় বা আলমারির তলায় কোনো যন্ত্র রয়েছে।
এই দিদি এসব কি সব উল্টোপাল্টা বকছিস?
তুই না, তুই হচ্ছিস আসল শয়তান, তুই সেই আসল শয়তান।
আরে
তুই আমাকে মেরে আমার সম্পত্তি লুট করবি, তাই না?
এমন করিস না।
কে কে আছে? তুই নাটের গুরু, তুই সেই নাটের গুরু।
না, এই দিদির ছোটবেলায় একবার এমন হয়েছিল, মা কার কাছে নিয়ে গিয়েছিল, হ্যাঁ সেই কোন ভুজুং বাবার কাছে নিয়ে গিয়েছিল। এত রাতে তো নিয়ে যাওয়া যাবে না, কাল সকালবেলাই নিয়ে যাব। এই দিদি চল ভেতর ঘরে চল, চল চল
চল তুই
চল। পরের দিন সকালে
হরি বম হরি বম হরি বম হরি বম।
বাবা
কে রে, আমার ধ্যান ভঙ্গ করছিস?
আগে একটু এসছিলাম।
ও হ্যাঁ, তোর তো আসবার কথা ছিল, তোর তো সমস্যা আছে। হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ, আমি তো স্বপ্নাদেশ পেয়েছি কাল রাত্রে।
আগে না বাবা,
বল কি সমস্যা তোর?
আগে না বাবা, আপনি ভুল করছেন, সমস্যা আমার নয়, এই আমার দিদিকে নিয়েছি, দিদির সমস্যা।
ও হ্যাঁ, ওর মধ্যে তো পেতনি বাস করছে।
এই পেতনি কেন? তোর মধ্যে পেতনি বাস করছে।
চল।
এই আমি ধমক দিচ্ছিস কেন রে?
হবে না হবে না, শোন। বম ফু।
ইস, থুতু ছিটাচ্ছি গায়ের মধ্যে, সংক্রমণ হয়ে যাবে বড়। ছি, এ পাগল, পুরো একদম পুরো রাস্তার পাগল। ছি 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 ছি।
তোকে তাবিজ আর মাদুরি দিচ্ছি, এটা পড়াবি। আর এই শিকড় দিলাম, এটা বেটে দুবেলা খাওয়াবি।
হ্যাঁ, আমাকে ওটাতে বিষ মেশানো আছে, ওটা খাওয়ালে আমি মরবো না, আমার সম্পত্তিটা তোরা দুজনে লুট করবি।
বেটি থামো বেটি। আর শোন, একটা যাগযজ্ঞ করতে হবে, পয়সা লাগবে।
কত?
এই ধর 10,000।
অত পারবো না, একটু
কিছু কম সম করে দেওয়া যাবে। আর এখন কিছু আছে?
হ্যাঁ, এই অল্প একটু আছে।
দে দে দে।
बम काली कलकत्ता वाली नमः।
আসি বাবা।
बम
आय, आय।
काली।
আয়।
আমি সব শেষ করে দেব, সব শেষ করে দেব। এই ডকুমেন্ট, এই অ্যাডমিট কার্ড, এই বায়োডাটা সব ছিঁড়ে খুঁড়ে একসা করে দেব, সব আগুন জ্বালিয়ে দেব।
এ কি দিদি, তুই এ কি করলি? ডকুমেন্টসগুলো, বায়োডাটাগুলো সব তুই সব নষ্ট করে দিলি?
তুই চুপ কর, তুই আমার আসল সর্বনাশা। তুই তুই আমাকে মেরে ফেলার চেষ্টা করছিস। আমার মামাকে যখন মেরেই ফেলবি, এই ডকুমেন্ট দিয়ে আমার কি হবে? আমি তো মরেই যাব, তোরা তো ফুর্তি করবি আমার আমার সেই সম্পত্তিটা নিয়ে।
দাদা কি করি, 7 দিন পরে তো আরো বেড়ে গেল দেখছি। না না, জ্যাঠাকে একটু ফোন করি। হ্যালো জ্যাঠা।
হ্যাঁ সোমনাথ বল।
জ্যাঠা, ওই দিদি সেই একবার একটু শরীর খারাপ হয়েছিল, তো মা ভুসুং বাবার কাছে নিয়ে গেছিলো, তো সেরকম একটু হয়েছিল, তো আমি নিয়ে গেলাম। তা 1 সপ্তাহ হয়ে গেল, তারপরে দেখছি তো যে আরও বেড়ে গেছে সব সমস্যাগুলো। কিছু বুঝতে পারছি না কি করব।
এটা তুই কি করলি সোমনাথ? এই বিজ্ঞান প্রযুক্তির দিনে দাঁড়িয়ে তুই শেষ পর্যন্ত এক তান্ত্রিকের কাছে নিয়ে গেলি? না 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 সোমনাথ, এটা তুই ঠিক করিস। শোন, একটা কাজ কর।
হ্যাঁ
গোবিন্দপুরে একটা ভালো সাইকিয়াট্রিক হসপিটাল আছে,
হ্যাঁ।
পারলে ওকে আজই ওখানে নিয়ে যা। না না, এক্ষুনি যা, এখন 9টা বেজে গেছে, খুলে গেছে।
আচ্ছা
এখনই ওকে ওখানে নিয়ে যা। আর শোন,
হ্যাঁ।
টাকা পয়সা আছে না কিছু পাঠাবো?
না না, আচ্ছা আচ্ছা আচ্ছা
কি হলো আমায় পরে জানাবি। হ্যাঁ
আচ্ছা আচ্ছা আচ্ছা, ঠিক আছে ঠিক আছে। এই দিদি, বলছি যে চল কোল্ড ড্রিঙ্কস আর আইসক্রিম খাইয়ে আনি তোকে, চল।
কোল্ড ড্রিঙ্কস, আইসক্রিম?
হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ
তা বল তো, খেতে পারি।
হ্যাঁ, চল 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 চল।
জল তেষ্টা পেয়েছে।
হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ, চল চল। দিদিকে ভর্তি করলাম, ডাক্তারবাবু বলেছেন কিছুদিন পরে একটু ভালো হয়ে যাবে। আশা করি ভালো হয়ে যাবে। ঠিক আছে, দেখা যাক।
আজকে আমার ভাই আসবে, কতদিন পর আমার ভাইকে আমি দেখবো।
দিদি।
কেমন আছিস ভাই?
হ্যাঁ ভালো আছি।
আমি খুব ভালো আছি রে। আমাকে ডাক্তার কি বলেছে জানিস? আমাকে ডাক্তার বলেছে এই 7 দিনের মধ্যে আমার ডিসচার্জ লিখে দেবে।
হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ, ডাক্তারবাবুর সাথে আমার কথা হয়েছে। খুব ভালো লাগছে রে এটা শুনে, এতদিন পরে তুই আবার তোর ডিসচার্জ হয়ে যাচ্ছে, খুব ভালো লাগছে।
তুই ঠিকই করেছিস রে ডাক্তারের কাছে এনে। আরও আগে যদি আনতি তাহলে আমার এই বাড়াবাড়িটা হতো না, আমার তাড়াতাড়ি সেরে যেত। এখানে কি ভালো আছি রে আমি, ভীষণ ভালো লাগছে। আমার একটা সত্যি কষ্ট ছিল, সেটা একদম নেই রে।
হ্যাঁ, আমার দিদি যেমন হয়েছিল, আপনাদের বাড়িতেও যদি কারোর এমন হয়, তাহলে আপনাদের কাছে আমাদের বিনীত অনুরোধ, আপনারা কেউ কোনো ভুজুং বাবা, কোনো তান্ত্রিকের কাছে তাকে নিয়ে যাবেন না। আপনারা কোনো সাইকিয়াট্রিস্ট অথবা ভালো কোনো ডাক্তারের কাছে নিয়ে যাবেন।
Every night in my dreams I see you, I feel you, and that is how I know you go on. Far across the distance and spaces between us, you have come to know you go on. Near, far, wherever you are here in my heart, and my heart will go on and on.
আমার মল্লিকা বনে যখন প্রথম ধরেছে কলি, আমার মল্লিকা বনে তোমারও লাগিয়া তখনই বন্ধু বেঁধেছিনু অঞ্জলি। আমার মল্লিকা বনে, আমার মল্লিকা বনে যখন প্রথম ধরেছে কলি, আমার মল্লিকা বনে।
Now, we have our CEO, Mr. M. Thomas John, who will share his thoughts about World Mental Health Day.
Warm greetings to everyone from Antara, a people's mental health movement now in its Golden Jubilee year, on this auspicious occasion of World Mental Health Day 2021. The overall objective of World Mental Health Day is to raise awareness of mental health issues around the world and to mobilize efforts in support of mental health. The day provides an opportunity to all stakeholders working in the field of mental health to highlight their work and to deliberate on what more needs to be done to take mental health care a reality for people everywhere. The COVID-19 pandemic has had a major impact on people's mental health. Children, people living alone, healthcare and other frontline workers, those with mental health issues have been particularly affected. Healthcare services have been significantly disrupted. Antara feels proud that in spite of innumerable challenges posed by the pandemic, we could keep our outpatient and inpatient services running without any major disruption. Amid the rising concerns about an increase in number of people affected with mental disorders, there is cause for optimism. During the World Health Assembly in May 2021, governments from around the world recognized the need to scale up quality mental health services at all levels. Antara continues to strive to scale up its services, to improve quality of existing services, and to reach out to larger population, especially in the remote villages. During this year's World Mental Health Day campaign, we are happy to showcase the efforts being made by Antara by highlighting positive stories as an inspiration to others attempting to do things in the field of mental health care. Antara takes this opportunity to wish everyone a happy World Mental Health Day. On this important day, let us resolve to take care of our own mental health and to provide support to others too. Thank you.
World Health Organization organizes World Mental Health Day on 10th October every year. This year, theme set by the World Federation for Mental Health is Mental Health in an Unequal World. The world itself is an unequal place. It means that not everybody has the same access to the same rights, opportunities, and quality of life. We have a model presentation by our nursing department based on the mental health theme about the current problem faced by our society and solutions or strategies to overcome it.
Welcome to virtual exhibition of Antara Psychiatric Hospital. Today we are here to discuss about the theme of 2021 mental health in an unequal world. So at first I will tell you what is mental health. Mental health is a state of well-being in which an individual can access his own abilities and can cope up with his stresses of life and can productively work and make a contribution in his or her community. So then I will tell what is an unequal world. Actually the world itself an unequal place where an individual's access, an individual's opportunities and rights are different from another person.
I will discuss about causes of inequality and its management. Racial discrimination. Racism is a false belief that humans may be divided or separate according to their physical appearance. Awareness is needed for all of us. You have to empathetic for all individuals, and integration of anti-racism into our values is needed. Ethnicity. Ethnicity is the identification of person or group based on culture, religion, race, language, place of origin. We all know human born with free and with equal dignity. We have to respect them as they are. Next. Gender preference. Gender preference referred to sex selection. Many times society only accept male, sometimes only female. That time opposite sex are affected for this reason. Gender preference referred to sex selection. In many cases, society only accept male, sometimes only female. That time opposite sex are affected by this reason. So possible management are: open the door for conversation, develop company-wide policy, and gender identification is important for your mental health. Next. Sexual orientation problem. Sexual orientation problem is most important problem for mental health. So first, assess marital problem is present or not. Sex education is important for all of us. Hormonal therapy and general behavioral therapy also needed. Next, the most important point, lack of respect in human rights. Human rights is important for all human beings, but especially important for neglected person, isolated person. So for this problem, we speak up about human rights, listen to other stories carefully, stay connected with social movement, and stand up against any type of discrimination. So next part discussed by this model.
Now we will reach the most important part of our presentation, that is the theme discussion. The model is about the current situation versus the world we want. So at first I will discuss the current situation. The current situation, we want to show the whole society into three parts, that is young age, middle age and old age. Not only these points are created the inequality, but also there are also rich people, rich poor people, urban rural areas create unequal world. In young age, the first point is relationship problems. Problems between family members, especially father-mother, affects the child's mental health. Then the child abuse. Child abuse is most common thing in our society. It is increased nowadays due to pandemic situation. Then gadget addiction. In COVID situation, most of the children are in home quarantine. So they have nothing to do, and that's why they easily addicted to gadgets like mobile, TV, computers. Now come to the middle age. Physical distance. As because of physical distance, they faces social distance as we have maintained the COVID protocols. Lockdown. As because lockdown, all shops, factory, companies are closed and many of people are lose their jobs and it affects their mental health also. Isolation. In pandemic situation, most of the people are isolated in their own homes, so it may lead to anxiety and stress. Suicide. As because of joblessness, staying alone at home, family pressures make individual depressed, which arise suicidal thoughts. Alcohol abuse is increased in nowadays as they can't cope with their problems. Women abuse. Because of home isolation, all family members stay together and it increases women abuse. Now come to old age. Neglected by family. As because of the belief of small family norm, family members are sent old age people in old age homes. Death. This is a great loss for family. In COVID situation, most of the family loses their dear ones, which affects the mental health of a family. Poverty. Due to COVID situation, many people not getting any food, clothing and proper sanitary system. So they become physically ill as well as mentally also. So now I will discuss about the world we want.
Here, the outside games. We all know children enjoy to play with friends, so we have to allow them to play with others in outdoor and also send them to a proper school for education facility and educated the parents also to spend more time with their child to know any problem arises or not. Here, the yoga, exercise and meditation, these things are helpful to build a person physically and mentally. So it's very helpful for our health. Here, hope and love. Each and every individual needs hope and love to live a life properly. It provides the mental peace. It may be from companion or by family members. Here, creativity and earning. All individuals have their own creative quality, so they can use it by following their passion and earning money in this way, like painting, making handmade things, etc. Here, listening music. It is a very relaxing technique to fresh our mind, and also it helps to overcome from overthinking. Here, online business, as all people are losing their job in this situation and stay at home most of the time, so they can easily start an online business or do work from home. Here, the quality time with family. In this situation, as all the family members are staying at home, so they can easily spend quality time with their families, like eating together, watching a movie, etc. It improves the bonding between family members and also improve their mental health. Here, the psychoeducation, as awareness is needed for each and everyone, so we have to organize some awareness campaign and give them health talk about how to care and nurture your mental health. Here, mental health facility. We want everyone being mentally stable and stay happily at home. But if anyone can face any mental problem which they cannot manage by herself or by their family member, then they can consult for mental health facility. So this is all about the world we want.
Thank you.
With all these presentations seen, we have only one thing to tell you. That is, mental illness is treatable and curable.
Be positive, be strong, be hopeful.
Antara is always with you.
Thanks for watching.